Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, as the forces of Commit managed to hold off the Marauders of Emotional Damage. KOTT News were on the scene in Moon Bay and spoke with a member of the company leadership. Emotional damage coming through and pushing you back into the fort, but you were able to hold them off and make it out alive, as it were. How do you feel it went down out there?
Yeah, I mean, it went great for us. We had a lot of fun. We really enjoyed it. We let them kind of take a few points, so we could do some practice, but we had a fun time.
Yes, I did notice that you were practicing some retreat recovery a couple times there, especially when you went from Charlie back into fort phase. Was there anybody out there who stood out in their performance in your eyes tonight?
I'll give a shout out to Bo. That was always my go-to. He always held our group together, so he did a great job, and we had a lot of fun.
Right on. I'm glad you did enjoy that. And speaking of enjoying things, are you enjoying the season pass as it's come out?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to go around and get all those achievements done. I'm having a blast, and I know a lot of other people are too.
Later, while clearing portals in First Light, KOTT News ran into a helpful citizen willing to fight back the corruption. For aiding the island in its time of need, Douglas Gregory is this week's Citizen of the Week. Turning to the weather for today, and once more the sun will rise and fall as it does, keeping corruption at bay. Then look out after sundown as the temperatures drop, giving rise to a 30% chance of corruption invasion across the island. 5 submissions for simulated fantasy combat resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPGO. Remember, if it isn't LARPGO, it's cardboard. Up first, the Marauders of Bottom of B-Tier Dodgers assail the Covenant forces of Error.pxp for control of First Light and the flow of the spice. Dodgers forces conducting a doubleheader take the field first on offense. It took 3 hours of fighting to declare, will 30 minutes be enough to flip? The reigning spice lords of the island have been isolated from the north, but with reinforcements available from the west, they may be able to hold off this ransacking group. Then, the Covenant forces of Outcasts assault the Marauders of Bottom of B-Tier Dodgers for control of the island's primary oil reserves of Weaver's Fin. Outcast forces withstood a long defense against these Marauders last week in Morningdale, and now they've marched down from the mountains to dislodge this neighboring perpetual threat. Dodgers forces will be well rested overnight and will have an hour off between fights to check injuries and go over defenses. They should be prepared to battle for the bog. Meanwhile, the Marauders of Destroyers attack the syndicate members of JDB's Kitchen for control of the arid desert region of Brimstone Sands. Nothing is known about this newcomer to the island, but if they can overcome the heat of the desert outside and check out the heat of the kitchen inside, they'll become more well known pretty quickly. JDB's kitchen staff are accustomed to working large receptions on holidays, but unexpected walk-ins crashing 3 different regions has some of them irate. Simultaneously, the Marauders of Iron Reavers challenge the undisputed heavyweight champs of JDB's Kitchen for their championship title and the right to rule over Everfall. Ever the opportunistic group of Marauders, Iron Reavers find themselves sparring for the title belt, but are the champs battling additional distractions. JDB's Kitchen have checked multiple win conditions in the past, but if they choose to focus on defending their title, their Neverfall starts tonight. But wait, there's more! As the forces of Coconut Wireless assault the vault of JDB's Kitchen, attempting to steal away the island's financial capital of Windsward. Coconut Wireless attempting to acquire more financial tithings to use in pursuit of their own ritualistic endeavors. But will they be able to overcome the advanced security surrounding the bank vault? JDB may not have been paying close attention to the Coconuts, since they're not as aggressive or whimsical in their war decisions. But with them staking out the bank, JDB will have to heighten security. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the island's factional control completely reorganizes. KOTT News was on the scene all night, starting in First Light. Congratulations on your victory here in First Light, becoming the Spice Lords of the island, now controlling the spice and hyssop production facilities of the land. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, John, we've always liked the spice, so it just seemed right.
It's just a matter of time. And speaking of time, you were in the gates and through onto the flag with about 6 minutes over. Would you care to take us through your strategy for tonight?
Well, John, you see, we slotted JChalant. That was the first win con, and second was just the whole W.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was knocked out at about the 4-minute mark for failing to adhere to rule number 1 of war correspondence, but I'll be back out there again once the trainers have already cleared me to get back out on the field, so I'll be out there.
I mean, they're the ones who committed war crimes, John.
That's true. Well, buddy, I know it was over pretty quickly, but did anybody stand out in their performance and their execution of the strategy?
John, honestly, for our army letting you die, I can't really shout out anybody tonight.
Live war coverage from the front line can now be seen on KOTT Classic. Later in Brimstone Sands, the forces of destroyers met with no resistance as they walked into the fort to capture the region. Congratulations on your victory here in the deserts of Brimstone Sands. Not much pushback from the forces of JDB, but would you care to take us through what down for you?
Well, JDB got a triple deck today. I mean, it's unfortunate that we got to fight the empty army, but nonetheless, we're going to claim our boat here at Brimstone and then carry on, and whatever happens, happens.
Moments later, breaking news out of Weaver's Fin as the Covenant forces of Outcast expand their holy empire. Busy night, holy cow. Congratulations, my friends, on your victory here in the Peat Moss Bog of the Fin. Over in about 15 minutes, would you care to take us through how it went down out there?
Yeah, we used a little bit of a different strat than we normally do, which I think worked out pretty well. Executed well on the outside phase, and then we moved into the fort. And again, there was a lot of solid teamwork. Comms are good, and I think we executed it unusually well tonight. Indeed.
Are you utilizing the Fire Staff Union protocol these days?
We sprinkle a little bit of that fire staff business in there. It's always good to see them out there. Blunderbuss also looks pretty good too, so there's a lot of kind of interesting things in the meta. I'm not sure fire staff is quite as strong as everybody thinks it is, but there's a little bit of it in there just to keep people on their toes, keep people honest.
Of course. I'm obliged to ask, though I'm sure I know the answer. Was there anybody who stood out in their performance on the battlefield tonight?
Well, I mean, without Panda Chi out there on Blunderbuss or whatever the hell he was doing, we would have lost that war. I mean, we were solo carried by him the whole way. Panda's the best player of any video game that's ever existed.
A new heavyweight champion is crowned in Everfall last night, and KOTT News were on the scene to speak about the outcome. Congratulations on your victory here in Everfall, becoming the heavyweight champions of Eternum tonight. How do you feel it went out there?
John, it went excellent. We really appreciate everything that JDB, they're just them giving us this chance to, get the top level war experience with them. And I think we really pulled it together. There was really excellent communication on our side, and it went perfectly, I think.
Oh, very well. Was there anybody on your team whose efforts really stood out in your eyes tonight?
I'm going to be a little bit selfish here, and I'm going to say our assassin squad. We were in their back line. We were making picks left and right. The comms were on point. Most notably, I'm going to say Blue Tonic. He's our shot caller back there. He was putting that out real well.
Well, fantastic. Well, now that you're the heavyweight champs, everybody's going to be gunning for you. But you've also got an event coming up starting in a couple days. Are you got any plans to deal with either of those two upcoming events?
Well, John, I think we showed this pretty well in Reekwater. Anybody and everybody is welcome to come and push. We adore open world PvP, and we will be there fighting you tooth and nail every step of the way. And as far as the event, I mean, what's a couple of nuclear rabbits, All we got to do is keep them off the streets of Everfall so that the people stay safe, and we're having a great time.
As for the syndicate members of JDB's Kitchen, a rough night of holiday service left them exhausted as they retreated for the evening, but they'll be back soon, refreshed and refocused. With so many forces occupied in war, KOTT News crews participated in sub-community service in Reekwater, where we easily held the line. An unfortunate final breach in Brightwood, however, as regional leaders request community members check the mission board to assist in repairs. Looking at the weather for tonight, and it's going to be yet another beautiful day of sunshine all afternoon long. And with all the action last night, very little corruption influence will stir up across 20% of the island. No submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by Peace, but we'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, as you might expect after an evening of peace. KOTT news crews spotted Iron Reaver's forces getting in some road work around the fort, preparing for tonight's title bout rematch. KOTT News would like to remind its subscribers, and those who are about to be, that the seasonal rabid rabbit corruption is upon us this week. So be sure to get out there and put down any infected rabbits in accordance with the Stanley Accords. Turning to the weather for tonight, and it looks like another afternoon of sunshine for everyone looking for some casual crafting. But be on your toes for volunteers later on when a 30% chance of corruption will arise across the island, because there are 5 simultaneous submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Up first, the Marauders of Emotional Damage assail the hero worshippers of Outcast for control of the crocodile-infested shallows of Cutlass Keys. Emotional Damage came to claim the mosh pit in the hopes that through repeated, continuous training, they'll be able to overcome all difficulty levels. Outcast forces juggling a tight schedule tonight with 3 rosters to fill at the same time. That's a minimum of 105-person requirement for a maximum 100-person company. Meanwhile, the syndicate members of JDB's Kitchen challenge the champs of Iron Reavers for their championship title and the right to rule over Everfall. The former heavyweight champions wasting no time exercising their right to rematch, giving the new champs a taste of their own double declare medicine. The new heavyweight champions of Eternum will be splitting their attention between 2 defensive efforts tonight, but do they have enough to cover them both? Also, the Covenant forces of Outcasts attack the Marauders of Destroyers for control of the arid desert dunes of Brimstone Sands. Outcast forces should have enough for at least 2 fights tonight, and almost certainly enough who want to take on the offensive efforts to capture this income-rich region. The Destroyers are well rested after their walk into the fort 2 days ago. Untested at that time, but now not so unknown, will they be able to retain the land they so recently acquired. Meanwhile still, the Marauders of Discord PvP Dodgers assault the Covenant members of Outcasts for control of their Holy Mountain regions abutting the northern Death Wall. Disgruntled to say the least about the outcome of their previous fight, Dodgers' forces turn the tables and march up the mountain trail to return the not-so-pleasant favor. Outcast forces might have preferred only having this fight to contend with tonight, as close as these 2 forces can compete. But with 2 other commitments to consider, their final lineups remain undisclosed. But wait, there's more, as the syndicate members of Commit attack the Marauders of Iron Reavers for control of the master fishing port town of Reekwater. Commit forces launching an assault from their staging grounds in Restless Shore seek to take advantage of a distracted Iron Reavers company. Navigating the ravine between their 2 regions may make moving their armies difficult before their 2 fights tonight, but will they only focus on holding one? Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as all 5 fights result in factional flipping. The champs fail to answer the bell in Everfall, resulting in a technical knockout. The pious pugilists, patrons of Panda, take 4 minutes to pound the destroyers in the desert KOTT News got a brief word from one of their high holies about the fight. Man, I appreciate you taking a moment. I got disconnected earlier in Everfall. The champs failed to answer the bell, so I'll deal with that in a second. Did you get an actual fight out here, or did you guys get disconnected?
No, that was a legit fight.
Oh, cheers. Take us through it over in a couple minutes there. 4 minutes flat. Any pushback?
There was a concerted effort, but I think it was just a little too much for them.
Indeed. Very well. Was Panda out there helping out? Was that really the big difference there? When that guy shows up, it's too much?
Yeah, Panda is actually both simultaneously in Brimstone, and he's actually in Morningdale as well. And word has it he's fighting in South America, too.
Moments later, the forces of emotional damage overcome the difficulty level and secure the Cutlass keys. Congratulations on your victory over in 6 minutes flat. Would you care to take us through any pushback that you experienced out there?
The pushback was intense. We had some deaths on our part. We overcame though. We were keen on taking down the Warhorns. We made sure to stay grouped but not clumped, and I think it was effective. It was pretty effective.
Pretty solid strategy to go through on offense there, indeed. Was there anybody who stood out in their performance out there tonight?
Yeah, Clown College did a tremendous job, even in death. I can say that for sure. And Odef on leadership, really, he made all the right calls at the right times. And yeah, I might add though, this has been a year in the making. We started as a group of friends doing PvE. We've been trying and taking it on the chin, war after war after war, and it's just great to finally come out on top.
Well, if I might add, I've been watching you up the difficulty level, and as you progressed step by step until you've reached this point, and I'm impressed by your progression.
Appreciate that very much.
Of course. Do you have any ambitions to expand beyond this region, or are you going to practice your defense holds for a while?
We'll definitely need to be practicing our defense. We're not gonna be moving on to 2 territories anytime soon. We're gonna need to make sure our 40-man's a solid group first.
Despite their playbook being leaked to the media, Dodgers forces were able to execute the simple strategy and overcome their opposition in Morningdale. Congratulations on your victory here in the Rain-Drenched Mountain region of Morningdale over in about 6 minutes. Would you care to take us through your victory tonight?
Yeah, John, we literally slotted anybody and everyone that signed up, and just kind of had fun. You know, told people to wear fire staffs and bows and let her rip.
Indeed. Was there anybody who stood out tonight?
Everybody who didn't get on the point are the MVPs. Wanted that to last a little bit longer. It's probably the best content Eldorado's seen in months.
The longest fight of the night in Reekwater falls to Commit, who stopped to give us a few words about how it went down. Hey, congratulations on your victory out here in Reekwater, taking it down in about 15 minutes. And would you care to take us through how it went down for you out there?
It was fun out there. We were ready for this, and we worked hard to get a good plan out and take those point outside pretty quick so we could be solid inside the fort.
Indeed. Was there anybody on your team who outperformed themselves tonight?
I think our healers did all pretty good. Honestly, I would especially my healer Lardy was an MVP out there, taking out the shops, calling out if we were positioned good or not. Shout out our healers.
Let me ask you something. Is there anywhere out there where people can see you? Are you streaming anywhere tonight?
Yeah, we live on twitch.tv/GoRail97. You guys can tune in. We're live pretty much every night.
KOTT News would like to remind its subscribers and those who are about to be that the Rabid Rabbit event is underway. So be sure to get out there and help control the Rabid Rabbit population. Turning to the weather, and it should be a pleasant afternoon of blue skies and breezy clouds all day long. But look out after sundown, when a northern cold front will descend across the island, giving rise to a 20% chance of invasion. Another submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Covenant forces of Error.pxp assail the Syndicate members of Commit for control of the nearly uncontrollable mudhill of Restless Shore. The former great house of Error.pxp returned to climb the hill and topple those standing atop it. But will they be able to secure a foothold tonight? The constant sea mist sprays across the battlefield as the forces of Commit stare down at the Notbots at the bottom of the hill. With only this region to focus on, they're fully committed. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night as the forces of Commit keep the Covenant from conquering the crest of the mud hill of the Restless Shore. KOTT News caught up with a Commit representative at their central headquarters in Far Harbor. Congratulations on your victory out there. I saw they got into the fort with about 10 minutes left and actually got a decent push in there once, but you pushed back and held the line. How do you feel it went?
I feel like it went pretty good. I don't know. I think my group at AGA really did a good job holding them outside the fort was pretty tough, but yeah, it went pretty good overall.
Well, let me ask you, have you noticed the influx of corrupted rabbits around the island? Have you had an opportunity to get out there and assist in the rabbit population control?
I don't think I'm really too into things like that. I think rabbits are pretty cute, corrupted or not, so no, not really.
All right, my man. Well, I appreciate you stopping to chit-chat with me for a little bit. Unless there's anything you might like to say otherwise. Was there anybody out there in the battlefield that you might like to highlight, for example?
DJ Nutho was pretty good at healing us for sure in my group. And also I'd like to say real quick, FN on top. Thank you very much, John.
KOTT News were also covering the opposing locker room and spoke with some mercenarial forces from the offense. Were you part of that fight?
Yeah, we were, but sadly, our forces were not strong enough to push them back.
I saw you guys. You got inside the gate and put a real good push in there. I saw you got the flag to about 15% on the inner fort, so that's not a bad effort. Good effort out there.
Our team went out there. We got some kills. We did what we had to do.
I see you've got your rabbit hat already. You're looking good. How many kills do you think that took you?
Man, I got lucky. I got what's it called, Rabbit Island onto myself. Probably around 100 kills.
Returning to our ongoing coverage of the Rabid Rabbit event, KOTT News crews have spotted organized hunting parties throughout Eternum. The game and fish wardens of every region would like to remind the citizens to properly skin the rabbits they vanquish. Turning to the weather for today, and it's going to be another hot one of sunshine all afternoon long. But be on the lookout after sundown for a scattering of corruption across 30% of the island. Yet another submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it is cardboard. Tonight, the Covenant forces of Outcasts assault the vault of JDB's kitchen, attempting to steal away the island's financial capital of Windsward. Outcast forces continue their march into the central corridor, making a stop at the Bank of Corinth to withdraw some additional war funds for their expansion. But there's no ATMs in Windsward, and all the tellers have gone home. The only people left at the bank are the vault security of JDB's kitchen, patrolling the outer perimeter. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night as the bank vault security of JDB's kitchen locked down the island's financial capital of Windsward. KOTT News crews were on the scene in Corinth, but several community members were suffering from port disablement. More and more citizens of Eternum reporting successful Footlocker acquisition, including KOTT Studios. The Concert in the Park series presents Lord Bob Ross in the Park tomorrow night at the Brimstone Theater. So be sure to get your tickets now and don't forget your illustrious card benefits. Turning to the weather, and rabbit hunting season continues with another day of sunshine all afternoon long. Then be on the lookout for all the corrupted rabbits having invaded roughly 30% of the island. Oh, missed opportunity to replace the invasion mobs with corrupted rabbit models. No submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by Peace, but we'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, as you might expect after an evening of peace. KOTT News took the night off to put out a rabbit hunting tips and trick video that you should totally check out on KOTT Classic. KOTT would like to make a correction about tonight's illustrious card presentation of Bob Ross in the Park. Tonight's performance will be taking place in Ebonscale, presented by the Ebonscale Tourism Council at 9:30 server. In local municipality news, the Reekwater Union of Fishermen have begun preparation for the summer contract negotiations. Turning to the weather once more, and once more the sun will rise and shine, giving us another day of beautiful rabbit hunting. Then look out after sunset as the temperatures drop and the island's corruption invasion forces come out across 30% of the island. 3 submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPCO. Remember, if it isn't LARPCO, it's cardboard. First up, the syndicate members of Ascended is Coming attack the Covenant converts of Coconut Wireless for control of the bear-infested deep forest of Brightwood. Ascended has given constructive notice to all that they are coming to the fort of Brightwood. What comes next feels especially open to dramatic license. Coconut Wireless have downloaded the Game of Thrones Winter is Coming meme and replaced it with Ascended is Coming. That's how seriously they're taking tonight's battle at the northern gates. Meanwhile, the Marauders of Iron Reavers assault the Syndicate of Commit for control of the master fishing port town of Reekwater. Iron Reavers forces declaring their right to rematch against the forces that deposed them from the region 4 days ago. But now that negotiations have begun, will things get rough? The Syndicate members of Commit and the Reekwater Union of Fishermen are aligned towards a fair and equitable split of food sources, with sustainable farming and a long-term bridge solution. Also, the Covenant forces of Error.pxp assail the Marauders of
Emotional Damage
for control of the island's secondary oil reserves of Cutlass Keys. Error.pxp found the killer. Turns out, it's the place we least expected, the mosh pit of Cutlass Keys. And there's a bomb under the table, and emotional damage is the bomb. And they're the table. Now they're in the place they least expected, defending the crocodiles of the Keys. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News.